Hi, I'm immigration attorney Karlene. Today we're going to talk about what type of business entity for the E-2 visa. By the end of this video, you will understand what businesses would qualify for the E-2 visa, what can you invest in, which companies is the USCIS more interested in. I'm here to tell you about the types of investments that you can do and which will be more beneficial for your visa. So it's very important that we structure our business in the correct manner if you want to get your E-2 visa. So a lot of people ask the questions about what kind of corporation should I have? Well, you can have a C corporation or you can have a partnership. An S corporation is not, that's only for US citizens, but if you have a partnership or you have a C corporation for tax purposes, it's perfect for the E-2 visa. The only thing that you must remember, it's very important that you own 50% of the company. That's a requirement that immigration has. So if you have a partnership, you need to have a 50% ownership in the company. Well, if you decide that you want to be 100% ownership, if you have 100% ownership also, that's perfectly fine. Immigration will approve the visa whether you're 50%, not 49%, not 49.9%, 50% or 100%. You must have a formal structure in order to apply for the E-2 visa. Now, you cannot have an informal structure working out of your basement or working out of your room and believe that you can apply for an E-2 visa like that. You know, there are people that will tell us that they don't need a company or they don't need a physical structure in order to apply for the E-2 visa, but you must have a physical structure. You must have a company. You must have an EIN number. You must have a lease. You must have corporate documents in order for immigration to approve your E-2 visa. And the structure must be, you must have articles of incorporation. You must be registered with the Department of Labor within the state that you're in order to get your E-2 visa approved. I often get questions about whether you could set up a corporation as a limited liability company. Yes, you can. You can structure it in that way so that you get the protection that the corporation offers. That's perfectly acceptable for an E-2 visa. So you can have a corporation, you can have a proprietorship, or you can have a partnership. And everything within that framework is perfect for E-2 visa. You may also have a C corporation. A C corporation is perfectly acceptable for an E-2 visa. You have the protections that are offered, and immigration will recognize that. You cannot have an S corporation because it's not something that is offered to foreign nationals. But the C corporation is, and it's acceptable to USCIS. There are some people who have asked, and they said, well, what if I put the corporation in my name? So if my name is Mary Brown, can I just say Mary Brown? No, it has to be a corporation. It must be a registered corporation. Now, if you want to call the corporation your personal name, that's okay, but it must be registered with the Department of Labor as such. And, you know, I recommend that you have a corporate name. And it's better for business, it's better for integrity, it's better for respect within the community. It's just better that way that you do that. The other question that I get about the E-2 visa is, can it be a passive income generating business? For example, people will say, well, you know, I have 4 houses and I get rent from each house, and you know, every month I get $30,000 because I have 3 homes rented. If you have passive income meaning, for example, that you collect rent from homes that you own, can you use that for an E-2 visa? No, you cannot. You must have a corporate structure. You must have a business that has employees, a business that has a payroll, business that has a bank account. Well, if you rent your home, you may have a bank account, but that's not considered for immigration purposes an income generating business. Passive income is not considered acceptable for an E-2 visa. You cannot use a rental property in order to apply for an E-2 visa. It's just something that immigration will not accept. So one of the questions that people often ask is, if I have rental properties and I put a management company in place, would that qualify for the E-2? It might, but you need a big structure in order for it to generate not passive income, but more, income that's positive income that the USCIS can say, okay, this corporate structure is one that has many employees, let's say 5 employees. You have a janitor, you have people who are cleaning up, you have a maintenance person, you have many people working under this management company. So it's not just that you have a rental property that's giving you income. This is not just a rental property. You have a management company, and the management company has a name, and the management company is incorporated in the state in where you live in, and the management company has a manager and has many employees. Then in that case, you could do an E-2 with that structure, and immigration may approve it. It's not something that I always recommend. I'm not saying that it's impossible. It is possible, but it must be structured carefully in order for it to show that it's an income generating company. And then, of course, you can apply for an E-2 in that manner. My favorite is just buying an existing company, organizing your own company. You could do a consulting company. You could have a company that sells products. We've had clients who have bought a store, let's say a storefront, and they sell clothes. They sell sports equipment. They sell all kinds of different equipment, products for the hair, products, makeup, but it's a store that's selling products. When you have that kind of situation, you will find that the E-2 visa is a little bit easier to get and to be obtained rather than having a situation where you have passive income. I'm Karlene Punancy, immigration attorney. Follow us on our next video if you want to find out more about the E-2 visa. Look at the link above or the information below and follow us. We will help you.